In this video, I'm going to show you two ways that you can add mixed numbers. Both ways involve the same algorithm that we've been using to add fractions and to subtract fractions. There's just two different ways that you can handle the whole number that goes along with the fractions. So let's do, for example, 3 2/3. Oops. 3 2/3 plus 1 2/5. Okay? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to treat these mixed numbers the same way that we've been treating them the whole time, and I'm going to change them into improper fractions because I want to go ahead and deal with just fractions. So I'm going to go ahead and change them into improper fractions. Okay? So to do that, the shortcut we learned is that we will multiply the denominator times the whole number and then add in the numerator. I'm going to do that for both of them. So I work that out and I get 11 over 3, and I'm going to add to that 7 over 5. Okay? They're improper fractions, but the method that I've used of cross multiplication is still going to work. My numbers are just going to be a little bit bigger. So step 1, I'm going to cross multiply. 5 times 11 is 55, and 3 times 7 is 21. Then I'm going to multiply the denominators so that I can get a common denominator. So what I'm going to end up with is 55. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 21 over 15. Okay? This turns out to be a really big improper fraction. When you add that together, it becomes 76 over 15. So you're going to have to do some division on this. 76 divided by 15 is certainly not the largest division problem that you've had to do. It does take a minute or two, depending on how well you can divide. But if you go through multiplying 15, it turns out that if you multiply it 5 times, you get 75. It's going to leave you with 1. Going to have a remainder of 1. Bring over the 15. So your answer is going to be 5 and 1/15. Okay? So we solved this problem. We just didn't even really worry about the fact that they were mixed numbers. We just went ahead and changed them into improper fractions, and then we did the exact same thing that we've done to solve adding fractions. The other way that you can do this is you can do it without changing the mixed number into an improper fraction. So let me show you that method. Start back over with our 3 2/3, and we're adding to that 1 2/5. Okay? So what I want to do right now is I'm going to just ignore the whole numbers. But you have to be careful if you're going to ignore the whole numbers. You've got to make sure that you come back to them later. Okay? It's really, really important. If you forget those whole numbers later on, you've got no shot of getting the right answer. Okay? So I'm going to just rewrite the fractions down here and forget about the whole numbers for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and do what I've learned how to do to solve this problem. 5 times 2 is 10. 3 times 2 is 6. And then I'm going to multiply 3 times 5 to get my common denominator. So I'm going to have 10 over 15 plus 6 over 15. Much smaller numbers to work with than what we had before, but it's because I haven't worked with the whole numbers yet. So I add that up and I get 16 over 15. When I look at that, that's an improper fraction and I have to fix it, but I can do this in my head because these numbers are right next to each other. 15 will go into 16 one time and there's going to be 1 left over. So I have 1 and 1/15. Okay? Now that's what I got just with working with the fractions. So here's what I'm left with. I have 3 plus 1 plus 1 and 1/15. Okay? So in order to get the right answer, I now have to go back and add in my whole numbers. 3 plus 1 is 5, and then I just bring down the 1/15. Okay? So these are two different ways that I can solve the problem. I'm working with the fractions the exact same way. The algorithm is exactly the same. The first example, I just changed the mixed numbers to improper fractions and then worked it out. The second problem, I set the whole numbers off to the side, worked with the fractions, and then I added them up when I got finished. I added them back in. Okay? Two ways to solve the same problem.